How can you use verbal self-defense effectively when you are being opposed to a very threatening person who might be dangerous, either verbally or literally physically? We are going to see some NLP techniques here that can be extremely useful whenever you are arguing or literally in a verbal fight with somebody who is being really threatening, really dangerous, and you want to calm him or her down to avoid the situation to escalate. As I often explain, verbal self-defense is very different depending on the context, the personalities that you have in front of you, and the characteristics of the person you are dealing with. It is not going to be used the same way whether you are a therapist in his office or a police officer trying to stop people committing crimes. And we are going to watch a little clip from the TV show Daredevil, where there is panic in a hospital. Many criminals are inside because they have been wounded, because there has been some gang war or something like that, and several of them try to fight inside the hospital despite all the other patients around, and a lawyer is going to be able to calm him or the main person down without escalating violence.
Bones, with 10 slugs to his chest! That wasn't us, prick!
Does this happen often?
It's been a bad week. Shit.
Put it down! Put it down! Back off!
There's innocent people
I
here.
got nothing to do with you!
You're gonna hurt somebody.
I'm not gonna tell you again. Put it down, now! Hey, asshole! How many priors you got?
What'd you say to me?
I asked you about your priors.
Yeah, keep talking shit. I'll check you into ICU myself.
You got face tattoos, friend. That's like telegraphing, I know what prison meatloaf tastes like.
You should better step back now.
The first thing to understand here is this guy is obviously in fight or flight mode. He has been into fights, he has probably escaped death like 2 hours ago. This is a fight or flight mechanism and he is just seeing everything as a threat. So being able to discuss with somebody who is at such a heightened state of anxiety and hyper vigilance, it is really tough. It is really requiring advanced communication skills, and just talking normally to somebody like that, even a bit before, a bit less aggressive, it is already very difficult. In that case, what is brilliantly being used here is what we call a pattern interrupt, insulting him on purpose to get his attention. And then he is following by doing some cold reading, so he is enumerating facts that are obviously true about him, that everybody could guess, but it is not the point of being a genius of cold reading, it is just the point of showing that you are giving some appreciation, you are understanding who they are, even if it is not the case because you are just reciting, memorize the lines. In some carnival things they are doing that, but here he's just enumerating things to kind of build a rapport, to show I understand who the kind of person you are, I have seen people like you before, I know how it is going to end.
I'm not gonna ask if you know what happens when you get charged with assault. I got a hunch you got more mugshots than baby pictures back home.
Man, who are you?
I'm the pro bono suit you'll try to retain after you go down for this. Only not even my soft-hearted partner will take your case, or any other self-respecting attorney in Hell's Kitchen. Not because you're so badass, but because you're just that stupid.
You got a big mouth, asshole.
You forget, I do this for a living. I could ask you to look at the faces of the other patients, every last one of them scared to death because the two of you can't keep it in your pants. But I'm guessing that neither one of you could give a collective shit. So I'm gonna do what attorneys do best and appeal to your selfish natures. Simply put, if you carve each other up now in front of these witnesses with cops right outside, you're screwed.
The main language pattern being used here is what is known as a consequence pattern in the sleight of mouth chart, where you are pointing out to a very difficult, problematic consequence that is going to happen in the future if the person does not change their behavior. What is interesting though is that the nurse in the beginning of the clip has been using exactly the same thing when she said,
There's innocent people
I
here.
got nothing to do with you!
You're gonna hurt somebody.
and it did not work. Why? Specifically because she did not have his attention. She was pointing out to what is going to happen to other people, whereas he, the lawyer, is first catching his attention by insulting him, which is driving his attention backward. And he is in the same way using the consequence pattern. You are going to end up into jail. However, He's pointing out to something personal. You will end up into jail. What the nurse said in the beginning is, oh, people are going to get hurt. And somebody who is in such a heightened fight or flight mode doesn't really care about others. They only care about themselves because they are feeling threatened in that environment. Therefore, appealing to their, like he says, selfish nature, but even without that, it is just very bright and clever. Appealing to what is going to happen to them specifically instead of others is, I think, a way better thing to say in that context, but it is really advanced communication skills to be able to think that cleverly, that fast into situations like this. Actually, we're having known situations like that, not on that level, but like close to this, and having talked to people who endured that on a professional basis, you just don't think in those situations. When you're really in a threatening environment, you just don't think, your logical brain just shuts down and you just become automatic. You just speak automatically, which means all those things need to have been automated first in the training room. Where if you are a lawyer, you are practicing with your friends, or in a court example, you're just practicing developing those rhetoric skills. Otherwise, maybe you can just write down examples on a piece of paper, elaborating an imaginary debate between you and somebody else, and this is how you develop those skills. When you are in a real situation like that, exactly like in a real physical fight, you just don't have time to think anymore. It is too late, the thinking, the brain is just shut down. You just get automatic, and what comes out is what you have automated before or what you have learned before. Therefore, all those exercises with NLP language patterns have to be done ahead of time and not wait for the situation to happen and then finally I will learn. It doesn't work like this. You have to learn them ahead of time, practice them ahead of time, and then when difficult situations arise like that, it will come out of your mouth naturally because you just don't have a choice. You need to use them.
If you carve each other up now, in front of these witnesses, with cops right outside, you're screwed.
I can't just walk away, man.
I'm not asking you to lose the oh-so-serious stink eye. Just don't fight. Put him down. Let these people do their jobs.
Right here, the criminal, the gang member, is tempted to let go, which means the lawyer has had some breach, made a breach inside his shell of dangerousness. He made a breach, but the criminal is tempted to let go, but is in conflict with his moral values or gang values or street values eventually, by explaining that he can't walk away, that he has to face the fight. Appealing to street values, you have to get in front of the enemy and not run away. Very classical in those environments. And the way the lawyer is responding is a brilliant manner in when somebody is having an internal conflict. It is the same thing in therapy or coaching when the client has a deeply wounded conflict opposing two parts of himself fighting against each other. You just redefine the problematic phrase or term that the person is disagreeing or in conflict with. Right here, I can't walk away. I'm not asking you to walk away. I'm asking you to Y. So I'm not asking you to X. I am asking you to Y. It is a specific language pattern you can use every time somebody is being resistant to what you are proposing. It could have been called another outcome, but here he is basically not pointing to another outcome. He's pointing to exactly the same thing, just don't fight, but he's enumerating it differently. And those redefined patterns are really useful to ease up, ease down somebody who is in that state of aggressivity, or maybe somebody who is deeply anxious. In therapy, we have clients like this. Sometimes they are so anxious about letting go, about something they have been wounded about, that just changing some key terms to make them talk to themselves with a more brighter version of what's happening in their life allows them to settle down and let go of the things they couldn't let go so far. And the main conclusion for this example is the biggest component here is get their attention first. Most 95% of people probably don't really listen to you. They just wait for them to speak. They never really completely give you their attention because of social media, because of television. We're just conditioned to evaporate and just numb ourselves into mindless information. Most people are just trained to not listen, to not think for themselves and just passively wait to be led. So if you don't take the lead yourself, they will probably not listen. This in this example is a way like an extreme situation, but even below that, even less than that, most people won't change, won't give you the response you are looking for, won't be persuaded or influenced, no matter what you say, if you don't get their attention first. If you have enjoyed, you can subscribe, and I will see you very soon for other breakdowns or other videos on NLP language patterns or NLP techniques in general.